All right, so The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel. This was released in 1970 off of their Bridge Over Troubled Waters album. And there's so much to the song. It took over 100 hours to record. There's all kinds of stuff going on. A lot of guitar parts. But what I'm doing in this lesson is I'm going to show you how he plays it live. And it's a classic finger picking pattern. The only thing I'm going to show you that is from the original recording is that intro, because the intro was so cool. Real harp type sounding intro, and that was played by a guy called Fred Carter Jr., who was like a Nashville session guy. He played with Bob Dylan, he played on Lay Lady Lay, he played with the band, Roy Orbison. In fact, he played the guitar on El Paso by Marty Robbins, which is a little bit before my time, but I know that song. Anyway, so what he did is he got his guitar, it was a Mini Martin, and he says in this interview that I found, and I'll put a link if you click that eye up there in the corner, or I'll put the link in the description box to my website, and I'll include the quote there. But he said that the guitar was tuned up a third. I'm not going to do that to my guitar, so I'm just going to use a capo. But what you want to do is take your capo off if you have one on, and just tune to standard, but then drop your high E down to a D, and then raise your low E up to a G. All right, and then put the capo on the 5th fret. On the original recording, the song is in the key of B, but when you watch him play it live, it's all C fingerings, because he's tuned down a half step to get into the key of B, right? So what you've got here then is capo on the 5th fret with the low E to a G, up to a G, and the high E down to a D. And so what you want to do here is we're going to fret from the capo, we're going to fret G2, first finger, second finger on D3, and 4th finger on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A5. Okay, so we got there, there, and there. And that's going to give you this C9 chord. If I play, it's exactly the same. It's just, and the reason I'm doing little finger there is because this is tuned down a full step, right? Normally you do it like that, but it's a C9 chord. And the picking is, I'll just kind of zoom in on my picking hand. What we're going to do here is we're going to try and hold this chord. We're going to go, so it's middle finger on the E string, first finger on the B string, thumb on the G. And then we're just going to do the exact same thing down a string. And then we're going to go B string, G string, A string. And we do that twice. Okay, so real slow. And then to finish it off, we're going to take our first finger off, and we're going to go G string, D string, A string, G string, and then finish off with a low E. So that's going to look like this. One more time. And up to speed. Right, that is such a sweet lick. Anyways, that's how we played it. Now, once I change guitars over, I'll show you how you can play it in standard tuning. But, I mean, if I was going to play this song live, I wouldn't even do it, because unless I had some guy who wanted to have his guitar tuned to this tuning. Because in standard tuning, you lose the whole magic of that lick, right? But I'll show you how to do it anyways. So that's the intro. Just hang on a second here. I'll change over my guitar, and we'll get into the main part. All right, so we're in the key of C. And like I said earlier, you know, it's in the key of B on the record, but they're just tuned down a half step. So to do the intro, we're just going to get the 3rd fret, G, B, and E strings with those fingers, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and we're going to do this. All right, so we're going to pull off the E string, and then go to the B string. That's your first move. Then E string, B string, G string. and then take our middle finger off the G string. And we do that twice. E, B, and G, right? So we've got and to finish it off, just the C note on B1 and pull off G3 to open. Back to the C. So all together, real slow. It just doesn't have that same sound. Because you don't have the same amount of strings ringing, but that's a way you can fake it, right? Okay, so then we get into the main song. And the whole thing comes down to this picking pattern. Because the chords are pretty straight, right? We've got a C, and walk it down, take our middle finger, move it over here to the A string. And we got A minor, and we got G, and then we do this, so we get that G7. You're kind of playing around with these notes here. I'll show you exactly how to do that in a second. And then back to the C. And later on we've got an F. You can play it that way, or you can play the bar chord too. I'll show you a couple of different options on that. Get that little lick there. Back to the G, F, C. And later on we've got the chorus. A minor, E minor, A minor. Those are pretty well all the chords in the whole song, but the whole thing comes down to this picking pattern. Alright, so it's a Travis pick. So I always like to break these things down between what your thumb is doing, what your fingers are doing. And the thumb is doing this. A string, D string, G string, D string. Now you can alternate that third finger, or you can go like this. Now I kind of like to alternate because it deadens the string, and you kind of want that more percussive sound. Right? Now all your fingers are doing is that's my middle finger on the B string, my first finger on the G string. So when you put them together, down, 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 with the thumb. And, you know, finger picking can really screw you up if you're new to it. I remember when the first time I saw a guy finger pick, he was a neighbor of mine. I was a kid, right? He came over and he brought his guitar and he started doing this finger pick, and it just basically blew my mind. I just could not figure out how anybody could do that, you know? You know, and really fast, it's like, whoa, that's not possible, man. But it is. You just have to go slow and really, you know, work on your thumb. And if you have to go like that slow, just do it until you can kind of get the groove of it, right? And then just throw that in there, just one time. And then double it up. Period of time, just gradually speed it up. Like so. Now sometimes Paul Simon will play it like this. And that'll probably really screw you up, because you, instead of going, you're going G string, B string, right? You're doing it backwards with the fingers. But on the record, and his part, you can hear that he's going B string, G string. So we're going to start in the C. I'm just a poor boy, stories seldom told. And we walk that down, and we've got that open D string. But just keep your picking the same. Now when we get to the A, we just stay on the A. We don't go. We don't do that. We just go. Just those two. So. For my stories seldom told, now we're getting to the G. And now he does this lick. And that's going to screw you up, I guarantee it, if you're not kind of, accomplished at this stuff. So, but if you just break it down to the, what is the thumb doing there? Now, I can't, I'm not going to sit here and explain every note of that, but you get what's happening. He's just going. And then you just throw the fingers on top of that. And you just have to work on it to figure that out. A lot of guys will want to go, hammer on. But the only hammer on is the first one. All lies and jest, and it just repeats. Except now we go to this F chord. And, you're just going with the thumb there, just the A string and the D string. Now, you could also go, play the bar chord and get that low E in there. I just find that doesn't work as good. This works really good for transitioning back to the C. And then we're going to do this lick. So what that is your thumb goes to the G string, middle finger on the high E. Then second fret A, third fret B, open A, and the C note on B1. We've got that little turnaround. So from here, so what that is, the thumb there would just be going. We sort of pull that off as we hit this G note with their thumb. All together from the F. right, now the whole thing repeats, except for when we get to that part. We go to the F instead of doing that churn around. Let's just play the whole thing so far. Just a poor boy. And that is like 99% of the song right there. Then, we go to a chorus. In live, Paul kind of starts strumming those chords. Now, in my demo, I just kind of picked through it, and I think on the original recording, he's sort of picking through that part. So the chorus is just A minor, la la la, and we're gonna bring that E string, la 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 la, and we got an E minor, and we're gonna, start on the B string on the fifth. Add the fingers, la la la. And I'm just kind of, going instinctively there with the fingering. There's no real set, that's kind of out the door here. We're just. Now we end up on this G. So what we're doing there is, it's like, right? But that's the move you got to make, and then you just kind of throw the picking in between. That's kind of what the thumb is doing. Real slow. And that will bring you back into the verse. Okay, and that's pretty well it, except there's a variation on that last verse. Where the New York City winters are leading me. Right, so he goes from the C to the E minor, to the A minor. And that turnaround. And then there's the guitar solo and the last verse, and just the ending where they do the double chorus. La, la, la. Okay, so, a classic finger picking song. And, some of these parts I got really specific on, others not so much. But, once you kind of get the feel of finger picking, you'll be able to fill in the gaps. Because once you get the rhythm of it, you'll just be able to you'll get a grasp of it, you get an understanding of it, and it'll just start to work for you. But you have to put your time in to get to that point, and that could take hours, days, weeks, months, depending how your capacity to learn and how much time you put into it. But really, for me, it's all about the thumb. For instance, so I was going to play this song just with a thumb. I am just a poor boy. I think that's the way to do it. Just get your thumb going, and then, later on, just add the fingers in. And when I finger pick, I'm always focusing on the thumb. That's what my brain is thinking of, and my fingers just kind of do their thing, But if I'm thinking thumb, can't go wrong, because the thumb is everything in finger picking, right? Anyways, another classic song, classic finger picking, and I hope you get something out of this lesson. I hope you enjoy playing the song, and we'll talk to you next time.